Why is my car key not turning? We've all been there. You're running late, you hop into your car, insert the key into the ignition, and nothing happens. The key won't turn, leaving you stuck and frustrated. Unfortunately, cars have a way of acting up at the most inconvenient times. But before you panic or assume the worst, take a deep breath. The good news is that this issue is often easy to fix without needing expensive repairs. Here are some of the most common reasons your car key might not be turning and simple solutions to get you back on the road. How does an ignition key work? Understanding how an ignition key functions can help diagnose why it might not be working properly. In most modern cars, ignition keys are designed symmetrically so that they can be inserted in either direction. Once inserted, the key aligns the tumblers inside the ignition cylinder in a specific order, allowing the key to rotate. This process activates the ignition circuit, which then powers the starter motor, sending the necessary current to the ignition system to start the engine. If any part of this process is disrupted, whether due to a faulty key, a jammed ignition cylinder, or an issue with the steering column, the key may not turn properly. 5 ways to fix an ignition key that won't turn. 1. Try turning the steering wheel. One of the most common culprits behind a stuck ignition key isn't the key itself, but the steering wheel lock. Many modern vehicles have a built-in security feature that locks the steering wheel when the key is removed from the ignition. This prevents theft, but can also lead to the key not turning if the wheel is stuck in a locked position. How to fix it? Firmly grip the steering wheel and try turning it left and right while simultaneously turning the key. If that doesn't work, try rocking the steering wheel back and forth while gently wiggling the key. Avoid excessive force, as this can damage the ignition mechanism. If the steering wheel lock was the issue, the key should turn and the wheel will unlock. 2. Wiggle the key in the ignition. Sometimes the key may not turn because of worn-out ignition wafers inside the lock cylinder. This is common in older vehicles where the ignition cylinder experiences wear and tear over time. How to fix it? Insert the key fully into the ignition. Try gently jiggling or wiggling it up and down while turning it. Be patient and avoid excessive force, as this could break the key inside the ignition. If the key eventually turns, this may indicate that the ignition cylinder is wearing out and should be replaced soon. 3. Lubricate the ignition lock. Dirt, debris, or rust inside the ignition lock can prevent the key from turning smoothly. A dry or jammed ignition cylinder might require lubrication. How to fix it? Use a silicone-based lubricant or graphite powder. Avoid oil-based lubricants, as they can attract more dirt. Spray the lubricant inside the ignition cylinder. Insert the key and turn it a few times to distribute the lubricant. If needed, repeat the process to ensure smooth key movement. If debris buildup was the issue, lubrication should restore proper function. 4. Check the gear shift or battery. In many automatic transmission vehicles, the ignition key will not turn if the car is not in the park or neutral position. Similarly, modern cars with electronic ignition systems might prevent the key from turning if the battery is completely dead. How to fix it? Ensure the car is in park, or try shifting to neutral before turning the key. If your battery is dead, the electronic ignition lock may not function properly. Try jump-starting the car or replacing the battery if necessary. If the battery is completely drained, inserting and turning the key might require additional attempts. A quick battery test or a shift adjustment could be all you need to fix the issue. 5. Get a new car key. If all else fails, the issue may be with the key itself. Worn out or damaged keys can prevent the ignition from turning. If the metal teeth of the key are worn down, the ignition tumblers may not align properly. How to fix it? Inspect the key for any visible wear or damage. Try using a spare key if you have one. If your key is chipped or bent, consider getting a replacement. If your key has an embedded chip, transponder key, you may need to have it programmed at a dealership or locksmith. Car key replacements are relatively affordable, and having a spare key is always a smart idea to prevent future issues. Additional troubleshooting tips. If none of the above solutions work, here are some extra troubleshooting methods. Check for a stuck ignition cylinder. If the ignition cylinder is completely stuck, it may need professional repair or replacement. Inspect for foreign objects. Sometimes small objects like pocket lint or debris can get lodged inside the ignition, preventing key movement. Verify the correct key. If you own multiple vehicles, make sure you're using the correct key for the ignition. Consult a professional. If you're still experiencing issues, it might be time to contact a professional locksmith or mechanic. Preventative measures to avoid future issues. To avoid ignition key problems in the future, consider these preventative tips. Keep your key clean and free from dirt or damage. Lubricate your ignition lock periodically to prevent jamming. Avoid hanging heavy keychains on your car key, as this puts stress on the ignition cylinder over time. Regularly check your battery to ensure it's charged and functioning properly. Have a spare key cut and stored safely in case of emergencies. By taking care of your car key and ignition system, you can minimize the risk of encountering this frustrating issue in the future. Final thoughts. Dealing with an ignition key that won't turn can be a frustrating experience, but in most cases, the solution is simple and doesn't require expensive repairs. Whether it's unlocking the steering wheel, lubricating the ignition cylinder, or getting a new key, these steps should help resolve the issue quickly. If none of these methods work, seeking professional assistance is the best option. Always remember, staying calm and methodically troubleshooting the problem is the best way to avoid further damage. If you found this guide helpful, consider keeping a spare key handy and maintaining your ignition system to prevent future problems. Safe driving.